Hey, it's Aaron and Simon with Assets and Arbitrage. We only 7 minutes late, y'all, but that's God's number, right?
Yeah.
So we right on time. Hemo to I
Yeah, you
say your
got it.
name wrong all the time, right? Is Hematopesis was in the room waiting for us, so we appreciate that. I like shouting out the cousins
Shout out,
that kind
good
of
sir
get excited when they see
or
our
ma'am.
notifications. This is ma'am. And then her husband has a similar name.
Ah,
Boom! Guess who stepped in the room to Cal? Shout out to BK Crypto. Love it, love it, love it. We
shout
have
out, good sir.
a very interesting conversation with the cousins today about the economy. But before we get started, no Assets and Arbitrage show is a show until cousin
Man,
Simon, right? Not my cousin, y'all. Love of
stay
my life.
stay stacking, stacking, stacking.
There we go.
Ounces, the satoshis, and whatever you may be invested in. Today was a good day. They had a sale on Canadian silver on one gold, so you got it less than spot price. So that was a good sale. I picked up some ounces this morning. We're gonna do a show on One Gold. It's a very good. It's a very good site. A good place you can buy your gold, silver, platinum, and palladium. Very nice site. Very nice site. Great customer service. So yes, they do have flash sales on there on One Gold, and you can get some spot prices below spot. Right. So below spot is what you're looking to get, and so that helps to grab something on sale. For example, you go to the store, something's off by 25%, you're gonna go ahead and grab it. So this was off on spot prices, so you didn't have to pay premium and you get the ounces. So that was a good buy this morning, most definitely. What else? What do you have, Aaron?
Um, this
What
is
the,
usually your thing.
well, yeah, I mean, I told her about this buy. I
I
don't know
needed
what you
some
had.
more water.
Why you got a whole cup of water?
I know I'm about to drink it.
All right. What
Um,
else?
he caught me off guard. Reminders, right? July 1st will be upon us. There's 30 days left in your quarter two.
Please,
So
no,
if
no.
you did not, what's wrong?
I'm talking to the people in the crowd.
To the people in the crowd
Yeah,
bouncing the basketball.
please.
Go do your drills upstairs. He wants to ear hustle the conversation though. So
All
leave
right.
him. There's 30 days left in your quarter two. So, for those of you who haven't had a chance to participate in the 12-week year, your chance is coming up, right? So, you have 30 days now to maybe plan for what you would like to achieve in quarter three, which starts on July 1st. This
Which a
is,
lot of people call the second half. The second half is like a football game.
oh boy,
Quarter one, quarter two, halftime. Halftime.
basketball don't have four quarters?
I just use football right now, and you can come out from halftime. You got the second half, which is third quarter, fourth quarter, and sometimes your first quarter and your second quarter don't go so well. That's where you at halftime you kind of gather yourself and see what you can do to make better. Maybe trim some of the fat. Get more aggressive on your investments and things that will better you in the long run. And you'll understand more after we read a few of these articles. It'll give you just a little bit so you understand that the dollar is being debased very badly, and you have to do something about it, or you're going to go down with it. So we'll let the people get in the room before I start jumping on some of these
We're at
articles.
almost at 20.
Okay, so I can't see that
Yeah, we
because of
can
the
jump into the
yeah, the
articles.
background throws me off. But
What is wrong with the background?
yeah,
I
I
get
can't really
that. It's
see
supposed
that.
to be like melanin,
Oh, okay.
like from the movie Lucy.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Anyway,
my boss is not
what's the
happy
poor
with my
background?
choices of background. Um, I was gonna say something.
Check the people in the room, see what they're saying.
Oh, also for the 12-week year, for those of you who are planning quarter three, which starts on July 1st, start picking out books and make sure that reading is incorporated somehow, some which way in your goal achievements, right? I would set something along the lines to maybe one book a month, maybe one book every 2 months. I talk to you guys often about Amazon Prime, which has Kindle Unlimited. You can check out up to, I think, 10 or 20 books for free.
Hmm.
As a published author, I would ask that if you select a book for free, please read the book all the way through. That is how the authors get paid. They get paid based on how much of the book you read. If you only read the first couple of chapters, obviously it's just pennies on the dollar. If you read the entire book through, they get the full payment. So, just as from an author, please pay these authors for their work if you are able to borrow a book for free in the Kindle Unlimited library. But definitely add reading to your goal. One of the books I'm gonna promote, and I'm not sponsored or anything, but Neri Muhammad has come out with a great book called, I think it's Mental Mathematics, and that is featured in Kindle Unlimited Library for free. You guys can get your skill sets up, right, by reading books in different genres: productivity,
Yeah.
sales, um, persuasion, influence, how
And
to go ahead, baby.
oh yeah, and just for those who don't know, Nuri Muhammad is the student minister of Minister Louis Farrakhan. So that is where he sits right now in the chain of command of the Nation of Islam. So he is very close to the minister. So check him out. He's dropping good gems, good knowledge, just life knowledge, and things about mindset. Because a lot of this stuff is mindset. And, so anybody who's giving you some kind of mindset work, it might be worth checking them out and seeing what they have to say.
Absolutely, right? Mindset is very important, whether, especially because cousins always talking about stacking, 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 stacking. You may definitely want to add books like Self Discipline, Consistency, Taking Action, Accountability, Responsibility. Those type of productivity books
Yes.
can help you develop your mindset in order to develop the skill of consistency, delayed gratifications, accountability, et cetera, et cetera. You can come on whenever you're ready. You're not going to disrupt the show one bit. It'll actually help us as we go through the different articles we have today, and you can weigh in and give us your insight, your thoughts. So go ahead and join. I'm always monitoring. My boss is not happy with the background, so I'll have a different background. Y'all see what I got to go through? Women who want a high value man, this is what you got to go through. Let me see if I can find a better background. Do you just want something static like
Yeah,
this?
just something just black
Is
or
that better? Or is that better?
that's fine.
Yeah,
Yeah,
blue.
nice.
You don't like it? You want the orange one?
No, it matches the flag. That's fine.
It matches the flag. Okay. All right, boss is happy now. No cut and pay today.
All right, so let's get started on these things. Looks like a few people have piled in the room. We're there. We're there. We're good to go. So let's start with, I guess, the most important one, the 7 trillion.
Hold on, let's welcome my cousin real quick.
Go ahead. Rest in peace.
As soon as you turn your camera and your audio on, it'll allow you inside the room.
Who is this?
Himo,
Oh,
Himo, the person who's going to correct me in the correct pronunciation of their name. This is my cousin. I should know how to do it. Also, cousin, you definitely want to use Chrome. That could be why you're not able to present yourself in the room yet. So log off and maybe log back on using that link in Chrome, and that should help. I'll monitor. All right. The first one you want to do is the U.S. debt.
yep, 7 trillion. Let's do
All
it.
right, y'all. Title of the show.
Are
Which
you
one?
sh- are
Don't worry
you
about it.
are you sharing the screen?
I am definitely going to share the screen. All right, cousins.
All right.
Simon found this and he thought it was interesting. Go ahead,
Fun, fun,
babes.
fun. So the U.S. debt now 7 trillion bigger than the entire economy. That's crazy, y'all. 7 trillion. So what number is that? What number is that, y'all?
Is that 18
So that sounds like 7.0 times 10 to the 12th
to the
power.
12th
That's
hour?
what it sounds like. That's how you would write it in science. We wouldn't write 7 and spell out the word trillion. We're going to use scientific notation, you guys, but these are people putting together articles. So let's go. Let's go into it. Um, so one moment.
There we go.
All right, go
So,
ahead.
ever since this started growing in earnest following the abandoning of the Bretton Woods system in the early 70s, do we want to explain what that is if we have any newbies on?
Oh, they know just they abandoned Bretton Woods in 1971 behind Richard Milhouse Nixon, who said it would be temporary. So, a long time, Bretton Woods is really when you came off of World War II and the world powers came together and they hashed it out and made it how I guess the dollar would be the reserve currency, and then there would be a certain percentage of gold still backs your money. It wasn't fully backed, one it was about 20% backed. You guys check me on that, but I'm pretty sure it's 20% back. And this was in 1944. And so they ended that in 1971.
You know, they only use your whole entire government if you assassinated someone or if you took the dollar off the standards.
Right. That's crazy.
Don't worry about the flies, baby. It accelerated to an unprecedented pace following the Economic Recovery Tax Act of 1981.
Yep.
The U.S. national debt has been a hot topic. The debate grew particularly prominent in the recent years thanks to the effects of the 2008 crash and the associated debt jump, and arguably even more thanks to the unprecedented rise in the public burden during and after the COVID-19 pandemic.
Hmm.
I'm sorry, it sounded like somebody was coming in the room. More recently, the discussion came into a sharp focus in early 2023 when the country again approached the debt ceiling, reigniting the longstanding fight between officials on the exact conditions for its raising. The tensions led to the suspension of the debt ceiling effective until 2025 and has thus, by early 2024, ignited new concerns with the national burden growing at even a greater rate. Indeed, earlier this year, Bank of America estimates that the U.S. is borrowing approximately $1 trillion each quarter.
Hmm.
And the Finbold previously estimated that should be current pace to be maintained, a highly unlikely scenario that the national debt would hit 57 trillion by 2030.
Remember when you say trillion, we're dealing with 12 zeros. We're putting 12 zeros between you before you get to your first significant figure. 12 zeros.
Look at those
It's
shoes.
crazy. It's crazy.
And to put that into perspective, a human being from the time they were born to the time they died, even if they lived to be 100, couldn't count to a trillion.
That's how big that number is.
All right, let's see if that works.
So they do this, they put these numbers out here in words so that you don't think it's as big as it really is. Right? If they just put 7 and then they put 12 zeros behind it, then people will wait like, oh, that's a big number.
The
But
people
no.
will have a hard time trying to figure out
Yeah.
if they just put the
Yeah, no
number.
commas, just put the 12 zeros. And that's how much. That's how much. And is it bigger than the entire economy?
So the US debt is already 25% bigger than its economy.
That's
While
crazy.
any projections for the future are uncertain, by the start of May 2024, the situation became such that the national total debt of the United States is approximately $7 trillion larger than the country's economy as expressed in its gross domestic product. In fact, the US GDP in 2023 stood approximately 27.36 trillion while the debt in May stood at 34.5 trillion, indicating an $11 trillion increase since 2020. Should the current projected growth of approximately 2.4% come to fruition and the debt remains unchanged, the current burden is still nearly $7 trillion greater than the economy is expected to be for the entire year. We got a cousin in the room. Hey, cousin, just hold on one little bit, and as soon as we come back from the article, we'll get you in here, okay? But I'm just going to mute your mic just for now. Um,
Yeah.
The matter is particularly concerning given that the latest pre-suspension debt ceiling stood just above 31 trillion, $3 trillion less than the burden at the time of publication, and the suspension is set to last only until 2025. So the big question is the US ready to default?
This is a
That's
big
the big
question.
question.
So now we did talk about something earlier that's very important, is that they are borrowing $1 trillion per quarter. But where are they borrowing it from?
Themselves.
Where is it coming from?
Our magic checkbook.
Thin air or something. This is why your money is being debased down to 98.5%. It's already down 98.5%. Only 1.5% to go. This thing is terrible. Like I will always tell people, there was once parity where Bitcoin was $1 and the United States was $1. They were equal to each other.
Mhm.
You give somebody one Bitcoin, they give you $1.
Yeah.
That's how it is. Now, fast forward now, $1 is takes $66,000.
And what I think people fail to see or to interpret that, and Jake did a great job of that last show, is that it's not really that Bitcoin went up, it's that the dollar lost so much value.
And that's the thing. There is an inverse chart of that,
There
but
is.
nobody uses it. Nobody uses that inverse chart of how much the dollar is lost against Bitcoin, against gold, silver. So, there is an inverse chart. Like he said, this shows you how much the dollar has lost against something if you use Bitcoin as the standard line, right?
Right.
Instead of using the dollar as the standard line and we watch it go all the way up, in the inverse chart, you use Bitcoin as the standard line and then you see the dollar
Go
go
all
all
the
the
way
way down.
down. And cousin Jake Fever, he had a great, when he's talking to people about Bitcoin who, may not have a great handle on it, he came up with the idea that, in 2010, this is how many Bitcoin you needed to
Yeah.
purchase a home. And it was obviously a whole bunch of Bitcoin. And today in 2024, you only need about, I think it was 6 Bitcoin in order to purchase a decent house on the market right now. So just the understanding of the
380,000.
depreciation of the dollar, the decline of it, the almost the dismantling, because the dollar in itself was an institution.
Yeah. So, with that being said, you can't hold your savings in dollars at
Right.
all. I mean, it's going down, down, down. So, we talk about that a lot, but we always give you an update when we see it getting worse and worse and worse.
Did we lose you, cousin? Let me know when you come back. Oh, there we go. I just real quick because we want to get some insight.
Yeah, I think
I
that's
think we lost the. I think we lost you. Cousin. Only when your camera's on will you present in the room. So keep that in mind. I got a green screen. I'm not sure. I think cousin's having a bit of some issues.
no worries.
But like I said, when we talk about the decline or the devaluation, the dollar, just understanding that the dollar at one point was an institution,
Right.
right? We were considered the free world. The president was considered the leader of the free world and the
Yep.
leader of the world in general when I'm going to say probably like Obama and back. I don't know. That was really falling apart around the time of Trump. It's
Yeah.
definitely declined significantly with President Biden. But, anytime anything happened that didn't even have to involve the United States would get involved.
Hmm.
So just to see that institution decline in
Yeah.
our lifetime.
Like I like how you said that. Get involved to make it seem like they're still important, relevant, right? Like we didn't need. Who asked you to come? And so they're still trying to poke their head in. Like,
You so mean.
what you need us to do? Nothing. Go home. So yeah. So that's it. We're gonna roll into another article that piggybacks off of this, and it's pretty terrible too. The information, but we'll go into that 514 billion?
All right, while Cousin's getting his camera together, we are going to head over to the second article. We do want to hear his insight on the first article. It's just a green screen. All right, Cousin, we'll give you some time to work on that. We're going to head over to the next article. Which one, babe? The U.S. government pays the
Yeah.
514. Is it billion or trillion?
It's like
That's
this.
why they don't put the numbers there.
Now here's somebody who actually put the number in their article. This is the Daily Huddle. So you get good articles from the Daily Huddle.
Wait, it's too
I
many
like to read the Daily Huddle
ads.
from time to time. They put out good information.
I'm
So
sorry.
let's see what the
It's 369, so billion, right?
yeah, it's
Okay,
billion.
so the U.S. government pays 514 billion in interest on national debt in 7 months, surpassing defense and Medicare costs. Do you think it's defense and Medicare costs combined? Let's find out.
I would say so, but
The U.S. government just spent over $500 billion in interest payments on its national debt in a mere 7 months. The Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget, there's a committee, reports that net spending on interest reached 514 billion dollars in the first 7 months of fiscal 2024, more than what was spent on both national defense and Medicare. So it is combined. It is the two
and
programs
let's not
combined.
let's not let's not blow past that. National defense is right the number one line item.
Oh boy, yes.
Number one line item, right? So
On the budget. Whenever they put the budget together in October,
yeah.
that is the first thing that we allocate funds for.
So
And when you're creating a budget,
mhm.
the very first thing you allocate funds for is typically the lion's share of the funds,
Yeah.
and then you piecemeal the rest of the funds together. Simon is going to do a show on budget. I think it'll be an incredible show because it'll help you guys with your household budget. If you're running small businesses, I think it's definitely a show that you
Yeah.
should do considering the.
Small budget or large budget?
I would do the household budget, kind of similar to how you run the house. The Simon's budgeting system here in the house is much like a company's budgeting.
Mhm.
So there's a lot of discipline factored into it. But another show for another day, but we just wanted to explain when the US government is putting together their budgets, that when he says line item number one, it takes the
Yeah.
lion's share of the budget, which is why it has to go first.
Yeah, the DOD, they spend the most on defense.
And it sounds like Medicare may be line item two.
Well, it probably is. It's probably up there. And if it's more than both of those combined, you got a big problem right there. So you see that this thing is crumbling slowly but surely. It is crumbling. That number is a huge number over 7 months. So give it 7 more months, and on and on and on. So that's why we have to keep our eye on these things. Always be seeing what the government is doing. All
Hey,
right.
cousin.
Hello. Salute.
Salute, salute. I don't want to interrupt your train of thought.
No, you're not interrupting, but first and foremost, please, pronunciation.
Sure. Sorry, hematopoiesis. I used to be a researcher.
Ah,
I think I got it. Hematopoiesis. Hematopoiesis.
Perfect.
gotcha.
Yeah, it's all
Gotcha.
about
Right,
stem cell development.
Hey, hey.
So tell us with the article so far, we're talking about the US debt is $7 trillion larger than the entire economy.
Yeah.
We're looking at the US government paying $500 billion in interest in 7 months.
Mhm.
And that payment is larger than the US defense spending and Medicare spending combined.
Combined, which
Tell us
is
a little bit about what you're
crazy.
thinking with just the news that's been coming out this week.
So, great question. But before I talk about that, I just want to make sure to give you guys your props and your
Oh,
flowers more than you know. So, I have my significant other. My wife is right over there. She's not ready yet.
I talked to her before though.
came
She's
ready. Yeah. So
Shut up, Ray.
she's not cam ready yet. But I want to thank the Simon family personally because y'all pushed me over the edge.
it's a silver ounce. It's a
Y'all
silver
pushed me
ounce.
over the edge. Y'all pushed me.
Okay, there we go.
Is it
Yeah,
an ASE?
Yes, it is. It is. It
there we go.
is.
Yeah, come on, man. Yeah,
It is.
Yeah, let's give it up. I don't have any tequila in my cup. It's regular water.
And
He
he's
got
got friends. He's got friends too. He's got friends.
There we go.
He's got friends. He's got many friends. So it's the start of stacking and stacking and stacking. So I wanna let you both know that you are. I know you don't get the two-way communication all the time, but I want to make sure that you understand that you are affecting people and community and tribe way more than you can even imagine. So
oh,
thank you very much for both of you. I try to leave compliments just to,
thank
you know, they can't even compare to
you.
how you've affected myself, my wife, and our four children.
Oh, you got four. You got
Oh,
four
Yeah.
young ones.
tell them come visit their
Yeah,
cousins.
it's four.
We put that on our agenda
We
to
want
come
some
there, to
family coming.
Yeah.
rub elbows. So we spoke it into existence, and we just got to follow up now.
Okay.
Okay. How old are the kids before we get back to the article?
Uh, 3 years old, 6 years old, 9 years old, and 17.
Oh, bring them babies
Okay. Yeah.
here. I
17.
need some little babies. I need a Tyler running
Yeah.
around
Yeah.
here.
Okay. Careful
Space.
what you wish for. But with what you're talking about, I mean, is you're speaking, very clearly. And I just want to again tip my hat. I mean, you guys have. I've grown so much in my investment, in my financial, and in my family development. Just watching Black love, just watching Brown love, just watching what you guys again bring to the table. I brought it immediately to my wife. I said, you got to purge some of the other subscriptions. You're gonna watch this, and she just benefited from it tremendously. So we will be there in
Okay.
Mexico. I can't say when, but we will. God willing, we will
Come
be
get y'all
there.
from the airport and everything. Why
Again,
about that?
that whole invitation is nothing but love. So we appreciate that. We appreciate that, and you guys are genuine. So I just want to make sure to make that felt before I talk about the article. But in terms of the article, absolutely, um, you guys are in the know, and in terms of knowing, what, as you said, it's just a word. But when you talk about the specs of, okay, well, how big is a trillion? Let's talk scale. How big is
I'm fat.
double digit trillions, triple digit trillions? And at that point, you realize, okay, this is all a fugazi in terms of, you're on a timer. I'm here in the States, so I know I'm on a timer. So I'm trying to beat the clock, as I'm sure Simon would appreciate, in terms of not leaving when I have to leave, but leaving when I want to
Yes.
Are you a New Yorker? I just heard you say Fugazi.
leave. Northeast, Northeast, definitely Northeast.
All right, all right. I
Okay.
haven't heard that since the
I
'90s.
see.
I'm I'm
That's just
I'm on
Fugazi.
I'm on YouTube flashing silver, so I gotta, I can only talk so
Oh
much.
yeah, yeah.
Oh
Don't
And
talk
yeah.
too
then
much.
anybody
Don't talk
knocking on my
on the
door.
location.
Exactly,
You got it. You
exactly. But you guys are great. Don't let me interrupt, please. If you want to dive back in, I'm a student in your classroom, and
got it.
one day, we'll sit down and maybe maybe I could benefit you.
Okay,
Okay.
we hope
Yeah.
so. We
Definitely.
love the cousin vibes, Bitcoin centric vibes, the insight.
Excellent.
We love it. That's why we're always
Absolutely.
inviting the cousins to come on and chat with us, give us their insight. I want to shout Jake Fever out. Cousin Jake is in the live. And Jake, a little bit before you showed up, or maybe you were already here when I was just talking about your incredible way to really illustrate
Yes. Hmm.
the decline of the dollar. Like, here's the value of Bitcoin. You're noticing you need less and less and less Bitcoin in order to purchase large assets,
Yes.
large commodities, right? And with the dollar, you need more and more and more dollars for that same purchase.
Hmm.
So I appreciate that, Jake. I've been stealing your house metaphor in the last 24 hours. I think
Yeah.
Simon and I've used it with like 3 or 4 people.
Yeah, and that also goes into, and I never did the show, and I guess one day I will. That time theft. It goes into time theft as they are debasing the dollar. Just how you have to work harder and longer
For
for
less.
less, and so, and it's really it's a chart that they have out there of the New York Stock Exchange over the last 25 years against the dollar, and it's startling. It's startling if you look at it. So I'll pull that up one day, and we'll get right into that. But yes, definitely.
But not just that aspect. Let's also talk about when we talk about cost of living,
Oh yeah.
we are talking about the things that you absolutely need in order to live. Young man, where do you think you are going?
Yeah.
Close the door.
Close the door.
Okay. Oh, Sean's here. Okay. I'm sorry.
All
My
right. Sorry
7-year
about
old
that.
just walked out the door. Like, where are you going? All right, Big Brother's home. He's opening the door for him. He's happy to see him. So when we go to the supermarket, right, we need food to live, and we're talking about time theft. But let's talk about the theft at the supermarket, right? Your box of cereal is now taller and slimmer, but people don't understand that it's weighted by volume.
Yes.
There's less volume, and the price of the cereal has gone up.
Yes. We love to call shrinkflation.
Simon always tells me, he says, all right, babe, I know when you're looking at something and it goes from 30 pesos to 45 pesos, you say, oh, well, 15 pesos isn't a big deal. He said, I don't want you to look at it like that. I want you to look at it in terms of percentage. How much percent did this item, let's say a box of donuts, right? Six donuts used to be 30 pesos, they're now
Yeah.
45. It's the same six donuts. And we are talking about over 50% or right
No,
around
that's a
50,
50%
right
growth.
around 50% increase for the
Hmm.
same product. And to us, if the donut is centimeters smaller and you can't detect it with the eye,
Yeah.
right? It's still some sort of shrinkflation. Maybe
Yeah.
they use less icing, or there is some sort of deception there where you're paying more for not even the same item. Somehow, some which way that item has shrunk. So we talk about time theft, but there is also a theft occurring in the grocery store.
Oh yeah. That's the grocery store. You see it in other places. You just see prices going up and up and up a little bit. And so I keep my eye on the prices because I say if it goes up too much, I won't buy it. Eggs here have gotten out of control, so I won't buy them. I just won't buy them. I mean, I know everybody loves eggs in the house, but I'm like, nah, you can't keep raising the price of eggs like that.
So this young lady went to the Met Gala in this yellow dress, which we swear, or the public swears, looks like scrambled eggs and bacon. I'm not sure who the young lady is, but she walked the red carpet, and everybody was making jokes about it, like, "Well, we certainly can't afford to eat them daggone eggs and
Yeah.
pork bellies, because you guys know bacon is pork bellies. It's an actual commodity."
Yes, yes, it
And
is.
she was, and they were saying she may as well wear it because we certainly can't afford to be eating it the way the price has skyrocketed. So I'm not sure if she did that on purpose, and she may have. She may have been trying to make a statement
Okay.
about, but it may not. She may be like, I didn't know it looked like scrambled
Yeah.
eggs and bacon.
Yeah, stuff is going up. You have to just, you got to be strategic out here. You can't buy certain things. Certain things we notice, at least in our area in the state, is kind of flat.
TVs?
Like, well, that's durable goods, but poultry, like when you go to buy
Yeah.
poultry, you can't really, they don't really raise the price on poultry, things like that. Ground beef, they keep that kind of the same. Um, Here, you get a lot of great prices on fruits and vegetables.
But that's
Uh,
here, right? Because in
that's
the United
here.
States,
Yeah.
ground beef has skyrocketed.
Yeah. So it depends
And
on what your location.
people are walking around with metals in their pocket, metals, with magnets, I'm sorry, with
Oh,
magnets in their
okay.
pockets. They're running it along the ground beef and the beef in general, and things are sticking to, you can feel,
Hmm.
those strong magnets. So we're not sure what's going on there, but those prices are skyrocketing.
Yeah.
Gasoline. I think they're putting water in it, right? Because as soon as we put gas in our SUV, it's gone.
So
I
I
said,
guess
this is
in there too. I
evaporating
think.
faster than
yeah,
isopropyl.
it's getting crazy out here, but that's why we have these assets that we want to stay on top of.
Just the understanding of the value that goes along with the assets, right? So what we want to do is we want to help the cousins in the chat reframe. Miss Taylor, we want to help the cousins in the chat reframe their thinking. So you're looking at your precious metals in terms of value. And then you're saying, okay, silver's going up. It's about $32 still.
Ah man, I didn't check this
Well, it's in the
afternoon.
30s, right? So it's about 30 to
Yeah, it's a good at
$32,
31. Let me check.
right? And it's going up. But we want the cousins to say if silver's going up, that means the dollar's declined some more today.
Yeah.
Because in the United States, you guys only use one currency, it's hard to have that framing. We do what we call forex trading in real life. We are always having to pin
Yep.
the dollar against the peso. Every day we get up, we have to check what the peso is today. It goes
Hmm.
up, it goes down, it goes up, it goes down. So
Yes.
we have that daily framing of dollar went up or the dollar has declined today. We want the cousins in the United States to have that same framing. Cousin Jake already has that framing. Every time he goes on his dashboard to see if Bitcoin went up, he understands, all right, dollar went down again today. The dollar went down again today. We want the cousins to have that framing, because in that you begin to appreciate a whole new value for the commodity that you are dollar cost averaging. One of our biggest fears is that when money gets tight, the first thing the cousins want to back down is their investments. And that's not the right way to operate
No,
in a shortfall.
no, not at all.
Right. But if we fix your reframing,
Okay.
you may say there's so much value in this, I have to find something else to cut back on first.
So, in my estimation, my experience with this, you want to still, as they say, pay yourself first, right?
Always.
Don't let paying yourself first be the first thing that you cut off, right? You just have to you have to rebudget. Sometimes you got to cut out some stuff in the household. Some things with leisure you might have to cut back on. I mean, it's life. You gotta take it as it comes at you sometimes. And we don't have, and I don't like this, and I don't like to bring it up a whole bunch because it's just a big fight. We don't have the same timing that the boomers had, where they had better timing for buying houses and things like that, and just it was set out a little better in the timing than it is for us and then the people coming after us, right? So it's easier to get a loan back then, easier to get startup money for a business. A lot of different things
Less
you could do.
interest you would have had to pay
Yeah,
back.
a lot of
CDs had higher
oh
interest.
CDs. Yeah, you could just sit safe if you had enough money in the CD. You just put this in the CD, you get what 12, 15%,
Now,
and your money was safe, and you
what
didn't
is
have.
it? About 3% now?
Man, I ain't looked at the CD in forever, so I couldn't even tell you.
But
But
I know
yeah,
they're low
it's
numbers.
nothing.
I know it's less than 5%.
It's nothing to even bother with.
Consider.
I don't even think people should even look at CDs.
But even back in like my father's day, they used to buy bonds.
Yeah,
Remember? That
yeah.
was a big thing when the baby was born, right? And you go to the hospital visit and the baby be in the nursery, you would bring the parents a bond or a what was the thing? Is that what my godmother gave me?
She gave you a bond.
She
Yeah.
gave me a bond.
Mhm.
So I was born in February. She showed up. She was in Israel. She was Jewish. She was in Israel when I was born. But when she returned in May, the first thing she did was bring my mother 2 bonds for me. One for me and one because she wasn't there in February when I was born. She was the godmother.
There we go.
And I was able to cash that bond in when I was 18 years old. It was one of the things my dad handed me right before I left for the United States Air Force. And I got 50% on the bond.
Yeah, which was good back then.
Yeah, it was $250 bonds,
Yeah.
and I ended up walking out with $200.
But over that amount of time, it was still safe.
Right, at that time in
at that time.
1999, right?
But fast forward now, those things don't seem as safe to me. And if you do, if you do the research on them, and that's why we always talk about bitcoins and treasury, not treasury, but silver and gold, because they're great places to store value of money, especially precious metals. That's a great store of value of money. Like we said, 1 ounce of gold should always buy a man a fine suit, right? So right now, that'd be about $2,400. And if you go out and try to get a nice tailored suit, it might cost you about that much, a little bit over $2,000.
The other thing I wanted to mention too was that when we talk about the treasury bonds, how many countries in the world are dumping them? U.S. treasury bonds, dumping them by the hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yeah, so that's not a safe place right now, family. But
what are they trading them for? Gold. Yeah. They're buying. Hi, sweetheart. Hello. They're buying
Hello,
megatons of gold because that's where the value is. Yes. So China right now is the lion's shareholder of gold in the world.
Number 2, right?
No, number 1.
Did they pass up India?
Yes, long time.
All right.
This year is the first time they passed it up. But remember all of that unreported moving? Mm-hmm. That's why you didn't have it on record that they were number 1, because of the unreported shipments and stuff that was going on that Andy Sheckman had talked to us about in multiple shows.
Yeah.
2, JP Morgan Chase, and we're going to talk about the cartel here, and not the Mexican cartel. We're going to talk about JP Morgan Chase here in a moment. They have the lion's share of gold, the world's largest holder of gold. I'm sorry, of silver. Of silver. And why? right? That's a very important question. If they find value in silver, why should we? Well, one of the most incredible aspects to silver, and this is something if we have any new cousins in the chat, and it looks like we do. Al Gebulan, thank you so
Uh-oh.
much for joining.
Thank
Hi,
you,
Nerd
Quick Fresh.
Inc. Hi, Let Freedom Ring, thank you for joining. Silver has an industrial use. So there's a second use to silver in
Mm-hmm.
addition to sound money.
Yes, it is.
Every electronic that we use, from your laptop to your cell phone to your TV, solar panels, M1 processors, electric vehicles, so on
Yes.
and so
Electric
forth,
vehicle batteries. Uh-huh.
use silver. And the thing is that the silver isn't what we call salvageable, right? When you get rid of your phone, you buy that new iPhone, you buy that new Samsung. It's not like they go in the old phone that you owned and take the silver back out of it.
Nah.
When you get rid of this TV and nobody knows where it ends up, it's not like they go on the TV and salvage it. Solar cells, et cetera, et cetera. Silver isn't recyclable. So what's happening is we are mining it into ultimate scarcity and at some point out of existence.
Yes.
So silver right now is also being pushed towards scarcity, not just the mining, but they're not mining it, right? They've shut these mines down in multiple places. They're not able to meet the demand of the people who want the silver, namely JP Morgan Chase. JP Morgan Chase wants to monopolize. They've always been.
Yeah, J.P. Morgan Chase had so much silver at one time that the SEC, Securities Exchange Commission, forced them to offload some of their silver. That's how bad it was. JP, I mean, we about to talk about them because they get away with some of the most heinous crimes financially and nobody ever goes to jail.
But for those of you who have
What is
taken
it?
social studies, or US history or any one of those classes like that. Remember, JP Morgan Chase was in that hole when they were
Yeah.
breaking up monopolies, when they were discovering what a monopoly was, the free
Mm-hmm.
business trades, trying to regulate. JP Morgan Chase, every time you hear the word monopoly, I'm shocked that they're not part of the game. JP Morgan Chase seems to appear, seems to be some type of character, and typically one of the main stage holders when it
Hey,
comes to
so let's
monopolies.
go into this one.
We're going to share an article real quick with you guys. Hello, lovely. I got a chance to talk to you before. It's so wonderful to see your beautiful face. Thank you for joining us. All right,
Where,
JP Morgan Chase. I
where we
got it.
at?
It's right here.
All right, man, there's some small writing all over
It's
the
it's
place.
all of the ads, babe. I don't know what to do about all of the ads. JP Morgan Chase to pay $100 million to US regulators or the US regulator over trade reporting gaps. What does that mean? A trade reporting gap means you're not reporting the trade,
Yeah,
right? And even the way they word it, look how compassionate,
yeah,
the
it's
way they cover for
a
them,
soft landing.
right?
So it,
You are, if that was a civilian who was like botching their taxes, the headline wouldn't say a reporting gap in taxes. It would say this person is evading taxes,
mm-hmm.
right? It's tax evasion and your ass is going to prison
Yeah.
forever.
Yeah, so they go get.
So here is trade reporting evasion. Let's use the right word. They expect to enter into a resolution. Listen to the wording, right? And this is routers, so you can see that the media is owned. They have to report what's going on, but look at the wording they use. A resolution with the third U.S. regulator that will require it to pay a civil penalty of $100 million for reporting incomplete trading data to surveillance platforms. It disclosed in a regulatory filing on Wednesday. I think that's, where is it?
You have to hit.
Read next. No, that's it, babe. That's it.
Oh, okay. I got more on mine
That's crazy.
because
That
I'm
is
not using
it.
routers.
You're not using
Nah.
routers?
Okay, so I'll go for more for mine. So trading data is that what you got? Specifically, J.P. Morgan Chase states that the the firm has been responding to government inquiries regarding its processing to inventory, trade, revenues, and confirm what is this,
You want me to do it?
completeness? Yeah,
Yeah,
I
baby,
can't
you
see this
need your
little bit.
readers.
I can't read this little
Let
shit.
me see. The firm has been
Completeness.
responding to government inquiries regarding its processes to inventory trading venues and confirm the
There
completeness
we go.
of
Completeness.
certain data fed to trade surveillance platforms. So again, they are purposely not reporting the information that is required. And this is an agency that requires people to report what they're, so you understand what I'm saying? Like they themselves abide by that policy. So this is nuts. The report stated that the firm expects to enter into resolution with a yet unnamed third U.S. regulator, which is set to include a $100 million civil penalty. Prior to this, in March of 2024, Chase entered into resolutions with the Office of the Comptroller of Currency and the Board of Governors regarding the firm to receive aggregate civil penalties of approximately $350 million. So now, when we add that up, it's $450 million. But the question is, how much money did you make that 450 million is the like slap on the wrist?
Yeah, it's the cost of doing business. If you make a whole bunch of money and that's all you got to pay, no big deal. Nobody gets in trouble. Nobody gets fired. Nothing happens to anyone. So it's not a big deal.
In its findings, the OCC concluded that JP Morgan Chase failed to report billions of instances of trading activity across 30 trading venues globally. Again, we can't count to a billion.
Right.
So there were billions, they don't name it, which I find to be odd, right? You're reporting this. You would think that the surveillance company would have the actual accurate number of how many billions of instances of trading activity that weren't reported across 30 trading venues globally. So we are talking about reputable trading companies.
Yes.
But that's our banking system.
Yeah,
no one went to jail. No one was fined. They were able to pass go. They were able to get their $200. They have multiple get out of jail for free cards. I'm telling you, they are like the kings of Monopoly.
Yeah. This is ridiculous. I really never have anything good to say about J.P. Morgan Chase, especially at the top. I know some people, we all have to use these banks, Chase, Wells Fargo, whatever, Citi, and what's the other one?
Bank of America.
Yeah, we
Those
got
are
to
your
use
tier
some of
ones.
these tier one banks. You have to use them to get certain things done. You know, Bitcoin is about be your own bank, but still, um, in the progression of trying to be your own bank, you still have to use these tier one banks to get certain things done.
It's very difficult to get untethered from that area of activity.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
It's probably the hardest of all of the areas that Dr. Neely Fuller.
Yeah, if you're talking about going all the way off the grid to get untethered from that one, but if you're still trying to do things, you know, business loans and things like that, home loans, anything that you might have to get a loan for, you're going to be dealing with these tier one banks unless you're coming out cash money, and that's hard to do. That's hard to do.
Well, let's find out what the cousins think. Tell us a little bit about your thoughts with your bank and ours.
Yeah, it's these lovely banks that we have.
You still there, cousin? Did I lose you?
No. We're right here. We were just sitting in the front row of the classroom. So, I mean, you're absolutely right. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yes,
Okay.
indeed.
You're absolutely right. And you know, like we have a saying in our house: Wells Fargo is the devil. So you've seen, you know, that obviously this has happened. I don't have to bring up the countless, at least 10 in my lifetime scandals. And again, it's like you said, it was a payment, it was a payoff, and nobody went to jail. But one, you know, consumers, account holders, they were wrong. They were infringed upon, and crimes were committed, but no one went to jail. So those with eyes can see. But speaking to what you were saying earlier about shrinkflation, um, it's painful. Again, we're still here in the States. So thankfully we go to, like, you know, the big box stores for discounts and things like that in bulk. I got 4 kids plus a dog. So yeah, we do everything in bulk to kind of mitigate that. And one thing I wanted to add to what you both were saying earlier, especially in regards to shrinkflation, I think it's also a hidden generational um, trick, for lack of a better word. It's a slow like wipe, because my children will never know that a candy bar should not cost more than $1.
No.
It's the same
Oh,
candy bar. Nothing has changed.
And gum costs
Right.
25 cents and
My
a
children will
quarter,
never know that.
quarter. Yeah.
yeah.
They say, well, the materials are more expensive. No, the rubber tree is still the same. The guar is still the same. The chocolate is still the same. It's not electric chocolate.
Right.
It's still the same. And so it's something that it's a slow veil that they pull over the next generation's eyes. Like, we say in the house, how many Batman movies are you going to make? The first one was great, and when you get there, you stop. But the next generation, they don't know anything, so they make what's old new, and they do the same thing with inflation.
I
Yeah.
agree with that.
Hmm.
I absolutely
Yeah,
agree with
and
that.
it just I just wish more people understood how they are debasing your money. That 1 trillion per quarter is crazy. So it's going to be average probably out 4 trillion a year. On top of what Bitcoin Zay was saying about printing 30 trillion, right?
It was something like
Every
that
3 months.
every 3 months.
So that is really debasement of the money, and that's where Bitcoin is so strong with that ultimate scarcity, right? You
Hmm.
can't just 1 trillion every
Print a new
quarter.
Bitcoin,
Yeah, that's
right?
it.
They
This is
have to be
it.
mined.
Uh,
Cousin Shango's in the room, and Cousin Shango, he's mad.
oh,
He's like, they're liars, they're criminals, they're thugs.
they are,
We want
man.
them off the streets. That's funny because that's exactly how they talk about us, right? They're too big to fail or to hold accountable.
Hmm.
And then you chimed in, cousin, that in our parents' day, if you did something wrong, they specifically said your name and you were held accountable. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're not even reporting all of the information that they did wrong. And the thing that they did wrong is that they weren't reporting accurate information.
Right.
Absolutely.
I mean, it gets to be a headache because you're not getting all the information, but you know the direction and things that are going on, so you can see the writing on the wall. We will. I still refer to J.P. Morgan and them as a
I
cartel.
know, but we live in Mexico, so
Yeah.
I don't ever want the cousins to
Oh
be
boy.
confused. Like, oh, is something happening in LA?
It's always
Right?
something happening.
Wow.
Don't get it wrong. It's always something happening.
But I do want to say, too, my biggest question for that article would be, how did you make money off of not reporting these trades? Like, were they your trades? That would be the only conclusion I can come to, is that there was some type of like conflict of interest. You were making these trades, and that's why they weren't reported, and you made hella money on the trades because you have that inside. I mean, the SEC didn't get involved, but we don't know because they won't even tell you who the freaking arbitrator is.
Yeah, because I mean they do this. They do this on Wall Street, front running trades by taking in trades and then deciding who gets the good trade, who gets the bad trade.
Right.
So if they're not reporting trades, in my opinion, they're not reporting bad trades, or they would lose money.
No, I was thinking that they were trading in a way
Hmm.
that was a conflict of interest, and that's why they didn't report it because they're not supposed to be trading in that manner
Either or,
and
yeah.
making hella money because they knew, right? I got some type of insider information. I know this trade gonna go to the moon,
Hmm.
and I think that's what I would think. And we don't know, right? We're
Yeah, I don't
speculating
know.
because they won't tell us. But when you do something wrong, I don't know. Why won't you report us? Why won't you tell us what they did? You guys are in cahoots. You're kind of slapping them on the wrist. So you're making a little bit of money off the money they made by slapping them off the wrist. And it just turns into me like this contillionaire reunion.
Yeah, I'm just so
Or we used to say the good old boy network, but
it's
in
higher.
2024, we should say the contillionaire
Yeah,
network.
it's higher than that now. But yeah, I think
Right?
You're right. Those who are printing.
fairness. It's a crime either way, and nobody's really paying for it. That's pocket money for them walking around $100 million.
Cousin Jake said they just gonna charge the denomination of $10 will be $1 and Bitcoin will be buying more and more. Yes.
Yep.
Bye, Shango.
Yeah, to leave.
Kiss the kids. Yeah. He tries to
Okay.
catch us on the go. But in that, right, these are our banks, cousin H. And we're often wondering, like, you guys have this network so concrete. that we can't even untether ourselves or our children from it. We
Mhm.
can't do any type of real daily transactions or even the investments that we rely on
Yeah.
without the involvement of this nefarious, I don't even know what to call it because we're just tethered so tightly wrapped like a Gorgon
Yeah.
knot.
Yeah. It's ridiculous.
Well, tell me a little bit about what you think about that as far as the way that they have the people so
Mhm.
like cemented.
Well, yeah, you guys are spot on, and like I said um, earlier in the chat, a lot of times, remember in our parents' days, if you did something wrong, your name was front page. Your name was front page, and that meant something. Whereas nowadays, whereas nowadays, it says literally in articles, like you just found a nice hidden disguise right there. In other articles, it will say the company said that they are sorry. Wait, a company doesn't talk, or a representative said, "What's their name? They have a job. They're paid to be the representative. Put their name right there,
Hmm.
so people can address questions to them and say, okay, well, this happened with my account on your watch. You owe me an explanation, or we're going to have to take it to a legal sense of resolution."
And some
But
type of collective like lawsuit or something.
right,
That's
right,
why I don't feel like people were defraud. They were. They
right,
absolutely.
Mhm.
right,
But I feel like it was they were doing something they weren't supposed to, and that's why they didn't
right,
report it. My other question was, do you remember back in the day
Mm-mm.
we used to have real journalists,
right,
and they would do anything to
right.
blow this wide open, let it be front page
It was
news.
meaningful, right? It was meaningful. It was part of their purpose. And I'll just jump in just for 2 minutes. So I'm gonna switch gears. Number one, Bitcoin in Black America brought me here. So Zay's book, I read that, and then I tuned into them, Gentleman Crypto, and then I popped on you guys, and I've just been with you ever since. And like I said, I turned my lovely wife onto it as well. And then, but in terms of what you say right now, in a past life, I was involved with someone who was a public relations executive, and they told me some of the realest things I ever knew, which opened my eyes, tremendously. And obviously, that there's someone who says what news will be printed. There's someone who chooses what stories will be there, and there's someone who chooses. Okay, if a company's going down in flames, it's their job to do by any means necessary to get that boat righted and to make sure that everything goes away. They are the fixer, they are the cleaner. That person was a fixer and a cleaner, and
Wow.
more importantly, it was essentially everyone was rubbing elbows. You're talking about right now with the article not citing, who were the where were the trades, how many trades, who did it, because there's someone steering that boat is saying, don't go over there to that lighthouse, we're going to go over here to this port, we're just going to park right here. And as much as they holler and clamor for accuracy and for numbers and for specificity, you'll never see it because someone else is feeding you, and they're paid to feed you, and they're rubbing elbows. As you said, back in the day it was good old boy network, but now I'll say it's a supreme thing.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. The supremacy, right? The supremacy
The
of it all.
supremacy of it. Oh,
Oh,
okay. I
yeah.
like that. I like
Right?
that. Bring that in
So that is
there.
the absolute truth. But I just remember they used to have these journalists. You would watch movies, right, where the journalist, she's going to get killed
Yep,
because she's got the recording, she's got the flash drive, and she's naming names and
yep,
naming numbers. And it's just like, where are the journal? And the editor doesn't want to run the story for that same reason you just had, right? Because he's like, you're going to ruin this whole entire market.
yep.
But
They could not
it's
be bought.
like, we don't have journalists anymore.
Not like that. Not on that level. YouTube has people who,
Get the information. I'm talking about the journalist who was going to
boots
visit
on the
this
ground.
person, climbing in somewhere, sticking a flash drive in the laptop. They ain't supposed to be sticking the flash drive in. I'm talking about that type of journalism, right? And then it's front page. We don't have newspapers anymore, but it was front page news. It was like, the faces are off. There's no bars over anybody's eyes. And here we are in 2024, and like journalism now is just report whatever we say you can report, and
Mm-hmm.
that's that.
Most definitely. Yeah. It's a shame, but We just have to go on with it. We try to find out things best the way that we can and be
Right.
prepared for things that may be coming down the pipe. If you hear this stuff and you're like, okay, I can see what may be coming,
Hmm.
we can prepare ourselves and prepare our families and those around us. And
But
just
we
by putting
brought
that
up that
information.
article too to show you when we talk about by any means necessary,
Mm-hmm.
they doing stuff by any means necessary,
Yeah.
right? To J.P. Morgan Chase is what we would consider a legacy,
Yeah.
right? That's old money. If
It's
you
old
guys
money.
ever read the story about the Great Gatsby, you would understand the distinction between old money and new money.
Mm-hmm.
J.P. Morgan Chase and their legacies, and that's why Jamie Dimon works tirelessly to upkeep that legacy. It is whatever by any means necessary to make sure that we maintain the legacy that we've had for over 200, 300. I don't know, ain't no telling how long they've had that legacy. I know it's by name, but even before JP Morgan Chase started a banking
When
institution,
they come
he
together.
had a father and a grandfather before that that were involved, and he couldn't have had the wealth he had without it being kind of ushered all the way
Right.
along through.
Right.
And that family, it's unnamed, but we read about it. I can't remember in what source. We do so much reading, y'all.
Okay.
But we read about it that that family is unnamed
Mm-hmm.
now
Okay.
because like daughters and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But they still receive a significant annuity
Okay.
every quarter,
Mm.
not every year,
I
every
can see that.
quarter.
I can definitely
A
see that.
significant annuity to that family.
I could definitely see that.
Yeah.
All
So
right.
that's interesting. Did we have another article? One more.
Yeah, yeah. I think a couple more. I'm gonna change gears a little bit.
Okay, go ahead, babe.
This may be in more positive news. We're gonna talk about these
Oh, do the
401ks.
401k match.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So this
Hold
might
on,
be
you
a little bit
guys.
more positive for people who are professionals out there. Um,
Your 401k match is billed as free money, but high income earners may be getting an unfair share. That is good news. The
okay.
401k is now the most popular type of retirement plan, with many employers providing a company match program. Typically, the employer has a company match, I think, of up to 3.5%. It's never really higher than that, I don't
Yeah, I
think.
never really see it higher than
It's
that.
never
So I'll
higher than
take
that,
that
I
as a
don't think.
number.
When workers sock away money in their accounts, but these matches, often shorthanded as free money from your company,
Hmm.
may exacerbate inequality in retirement. So 44% of employer matches are directed toward the top 20% of earners, according to a May study from researchers at Vanguard, Yale University, and the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, or as we know at MIT. By contrast, the bottom 20% of workers receive just 6% of their employer matching contributions, and analysis found. Now, this is interesting. There's a lot of money on the line as corporations provided about 212 billion in matching contributions in 2021,
Hmm.
or almost 60 cents for every dollar saved by workers, the study noted. But the bulk of those employer dollars are more likely to go to high income workers, even though business typically dangle their 401k matches as a way to convince all workers, regardless of your income, to save for your retirement. Employer contributions are a right target for innovation. They disproportionately accrue to those with higher incomes, however. White workers, those with more access to liquid wealth, and those with richer parents. The findings come amid increasing scrutiny of pitfalls of 401ks, which now serve as a predominant retirement vehicle for the American worker. About half of all private employees participate in the so called defined contribution plan, which include 401ks, 403bs. We used to have a 403b when we
Yeah.
worked at the hospital,
Yeah. Yeah.
compared with about 15% who have access to traditional pensions. Even as they supplanted traditional pensions, 401ks have left behind the bulk of American workers, according to Teresa, I can't pronounce her last name, Ghilarducci, I'm guessing,
Hmm.
a labor economist and a professor at the New School for Social Research in New York. First, many workers lack access to them. Second, those who participate in 401ks are largely on their own to figure out how to invest and manage them. That could not be more accurate, y'all. I have coworkers who, because they don't know how it works, they don't really bother to call Fidelity either. they're just going in at whatever, and sometimes that's 1%, that's 2%.
Yeah, this is true, and they have people there to help you manage your portfolio, but like she said, they don't bother to deal with it, and
Mm-hmm.
they just leave it where it is. And
Two, I think
mhm,
that when we're doing this during open enrollment, you're so overwhelmed with the medical aspect
yes,
that the financial aspect seems even more chaotic in a sense,
hmm,
right? Because it's an even bigger unknown than the medical, because it keeps changing, keeps changing, keeps changing. It's typically employees more dire,
hmm,
critical benefit, right?
hmm,
And then it's like, all right, just put me in whatever and we'll get that match. And a lot of times when if you ask one of your cohorts or one of your colleagues, they don't know what whatever is. Like, what are you putting in? I don't know, whatever they have me at. And it's like, well, what did you enroll at?
hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Right?
sounds. Yep,
And
that
direct
happens.
deposits or your paycheck stub is electronic now. So when you're salaried, which is really a lot of the people that they're referring
Yeah,
to
as
in
far as
this particular,
the high
yeah,
income earners, yes.
that it's you don't even look at it. It's the same paycheck every. I'm gonna look at it if one day I see the paycheck look different.
Yeah.
But for most salaried employees, they never look at their pay stubs.
Hmm.
So they don't know what they're putting in. Or even if they see it, they're like, well, I don't know how to calculate how much percent I'm putting in for this thing and
Right.
what I got matched and so on and so forth. So after more than 4 decades of a 401k system, 3 in 10 older workers are nearing retirement without a penny saved. Two-thirds of younger baby boomers don't have enough saved in their golden years. It's not entirely surprising that higher income workers get a larger share of the company's matching contributions. For instance, take two workers who direct 10% of their pay into 401ks, with the first one earning 100,000 and the second one earning 50,000. With the typical percentage match where employer matches 50% of employees' contributions up to 6%, I think it is up to 6% of their pay, the worker earning $100,000 would get a $3,000 match, and that secondary employee would be earning $1,500. But the analysis found that higher income workers are actually getting a bigger share of the employer contributions than their share of income, indicating that top earning employees are enjoying outsized benefits when compared with lower earning coworkers. This has also become higher earners notice that they started the number at 10%. Typically, people doing their open enrollment aren't starting at 10%.
You talking about normal employees? No way.
Right. They're
No
not
way.
saying, I want 10% of my paycheck or 10% of my pay to go towards the 401k. They're starting with way lower numbers than that.
Hmm.
When you make more money, there is more disposable income for you to say, I'm going to max this bad boy out, honey. What can I do? Fidelity tells you you can do up to
Yeah, no room
$23,000
front
a
runner.
year. Higher income earners will absolutely do the best they can to stuff that $23,000 a year in there to get
Yeah, and
that
there's also
match
that also it helps with your taxes by taking that off of your reportable
income
taxable
for
income
the higher income
for
earners.
the higher income earners because you want to bring that number down much as you can.
So they're double incentivized,
Yeah. Hmm.
right? One, I can make more money, I get a higher match, but two, I can bring that down so I don't owe Uncle Sam as much money.
There you
In
go.
fact, the top 20% of earners get a 11% bigger share of employer contributions and income, while those in the bottom 20% get 29% smaller.
Mm.
Wow. I mean, that's a huge number of matching dollars in income. That's partly because some wealthier workers are more likely to max out their savings, which is what we just talked about, which helps them to get the most free money from their employers. But these people are also likely to have other advantages like family wealth, a college or a college degree. Well, usually a college degree is supposed to help get you a higher income, command a higher income. At the same time, the analysis found that there's a lot of evidence that company matches actually convince workers to save more. A majority of low income workers don't participate in their 401k despite company match, while high income workers are saving above the company's match cap, even though they may not benefit from any additional free money. And again, lower income workers may feel like they don't have enough disposable income to put towards that. Two, if
Mhm.
they are putting towards that, and again, there's a shortfall, a lot of times their first action, right? Their first
Yeah, you
action
said.
plan is to back that down.
And remember, as they give you these statistics, these are year over year, so they compound pretty quickly. Even the one that she said, I can't even find it because I'm blind. But what she said, the $50,000 worker and the $100,000 worker,
Hmm.
if they both do 10%, right, you get 1,500 to 3,000,
Yes.
and that's in one year.
Yes.
So this is compounding year over year over
That's
year
right
over
there,
year.
right?
If you work at this company 25 years, 30 years, see how much of a gap that becomes over 30 years.
Yeah, that's
All
true.
these things are over a year, and you get this year over year over year, you're just way behind. You're
Yeah.
just so far behind. I mean, you can't catch up in those later years when it's time to retire. And so,
But the $1,500 match, because again, that is still at 10%, is doing way better than the person who's only at a 2%, right? Because that gap's going to be even wider.
mhm.
So just understanding the importance of if you have this benefit, it actually is, and only if it has a company match, it actually is a very significant benefit.
It is.
And that account will, like you say, compound and grow faster than you think.
Yeah, and I'm not a. It's not that I'm not a fan of 401ks. If they give you with the company match, that is free money. Go ahead and take that free money.
Hmm.
I still be on my Bitcoin and silver, but if you get the free money, you got, when work be somewhere in 20, 25, 30 years, take that 401k or 40, what is 403b. I had a 457b, so you just put the money away in it, but I still like to allocate my money towards Bitcoin and allocate the gold and silver. I've pretty much gotten out of stocks for the most part. I used to be in them heavy, used to be in stocks heavy, but, after a while, man, it just kind of wore me down. There was so much information you had to be on top of when you had stocks, especially because a lot of times people were telling you to find growth stocks, and those are hard things to find. Growth stocks. A lot of people like to play it safe with FANG stocks, and you can still make some money with FANG stocks, I suppose. I don't follow them. I don't follow them anymore, so I don't know what kind of movement is going on and stuff like
We still have money in them
Apple and
though.
stuff like that. I don't pay attention to them anymore. It's just because
But we still have money in some of those.
in some of the FANG stocks.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Oh, you
Hold
put it
on,
all in
I got
Bitcoin?
mining stocks, which I like. I like Silver
Majestic?
Miner, First Majestic by Keith Newmeyer. So we keep money in there, and they have a mining project here in Western Mexico that was shut down by for not for
Um,
environmental,
environmental, occupational
environmental health.
hazards.
Yeah,
There's no OSHA here either, so
yeah. So people don't get paid much to go down into those mines. So,
life and limb.
yeah, life and limb, small life insurance, all this
It's
stuff.
really not any different from the diamond mining in Africa, right?
Yeah, yeah. I don't think it's as harsh as that was, but they just don't pay you what you're supposed to be paid, and there's no way to get around it because there are no mines, silver mines in the United States. Where if it was a mine in the United States, you had to pay those miners. They'd be
Mm-hmm.
unionized and everything, so
Mm-hmm.
you couldn't do them like that. But in Mexico, that's a good job to have.
I bet.
That's a good job to have out there, especially in Western Mexico where there's not as many big cities and there's not a lot of work you can go to find in the larger cities.
But with great reward comes great risk.
Yeah, yeah, it's dangerous down there in those mines, most definitely. Did you guys want to talk about anything on that 401k holders or anybody who uses this match program? And
You have any thoughts on that, cousin H?
I was just saying in the chat that the comparison that you said, 10% of 50,000 versus 10% of 100,000. That's a boat race. They'll never catch up,
Right.
and
mm,
that's not to say there's anything wrong with the person making 100. There's not saying there's anything wrong with the person making 50, but the way that it's structured, you know, it's very advantageous to the people who are front running, who are in the lead, and to
yeah,
give them a silent head start. Which
mm,
again, if you like the name of your show, if you know how to take advantage of that, you should. You guys are high earners, and you should benefit from the fruits of your labor, and those people should as well.
I'm going to tell you some like a hard reality that a lot of people don't like.
Okay.
is that you have to be willing to learn new skill sets. A lot of people graduate from high school, maybe they graduate from college, and they feel like they never have to open another book or learn anything ever again. If they get a job, the job will train them. And it's just like, if there are
Right.
very specific things that you want to do, you have to be willing by any means necessary to get yourself to that place. Simon and I, we started out in healthcare. It's on site, lots of hours, and so on and so forth. A lot of people, we've talked about the journey here in Mexico, but I'm just going to fast forward. I
Hmm.
can't work at a hospital in Mexico, right? Two, again, I'm the mother of four children. I want to be home with my husband and my children. And that's when Simon and I started really kind of looking into, and I had a friend help me get it going, but looking into tech. But that requires Aaron's healthcare skill set to learn a whole new skill set,
Yeah, that's
right?
a hard pivot right there
It's a
for you.
hard pivot. It's
Yeah.
a whole new career. You're starting literally in midlife.
Yeah.
Um, but Erin's personality is she's always open to learning. You guys know this whole show is because my husband wanted to teach me something new and I was open to it. So when we talk about that 12-week year, right, that is crucial, right? I tell people, don't jump out the window with it, but add at least one book a month. Let that be your goal. Look into things that you are not so familiar with in order to open those new neural pathways. Simon wants to do a show on neuroeconomics, and it's pertinent that we do the show
Yes.
here in the upcoming weeks. But the idea being, if you've done, like I work in tech, so it's a good idea for me to build a new neural pathway in sales, right? I went from healthcare to tech, and sales would be something, and it's not necessarily for me to sell anything, but to understand the mindset of it, to understand the value that you can offer people. And there's
Hmm.
a whole psychology to it.
Hmm.
Simon, again, he was military healthcare. He hopped over into finance. It was very different than combat medic, firefighter, paramedic, very, very different. And it was a way of opening new neural pathways, which offers you skill sets to do something new, but also command higher salaries, right? And the idea is when we talk about like salaries and hourly are very different things. You want to get to a point when you're in midlife to be able to command a salary that is commensurate with your skill sets, right? These are very particular words
Mm.
because that is what's required of high income earners.
Yes, it is.
But you got to get yourself to that place. And often we as Black people don't have a mentor to get you there.
Yeah.
You got to do a lot of it on your own. You
Yeah.
may have a friend who might take an interest in helping you and so on and so forth, but you have to find the resources. You have to carve out the time. You have to make yourself accountable. You have to make yourself responsible. And more importantly, you have to do the sacrifice in being consistent.
Hmm.
It's something new, so it's hard to learn. It's difficult to
And
learn.
you might go back to some of these older books you read. I would just, you know, Rich Dad Poor Dad. I'm sure everybody's familiar with that book. But you talk about Robert Kiyosaki talks about when he was finding his mentor, um, he was doing it for free. He said because if he pays you for it, it's like a cushion and you'll never want to stop. So a lot of times people don't want to do this mentor mentee thing for free. They still want to be paid. Like if you got a chance, say for example, to sit down next to one of your, biggest mentor. I know you like she's an author. So like if she got to just sit next to John Grisham,
Oh yeah.
right? You just sit there and learn from him. I don't even need you to pay me anything.
Mm-mm.
It's a pleasure for me to just be
I
here.
understand the value
Yeah.
in what you're willing to hit the points on.
Yeah, and so sometimes when you get a mentor, you have to have that mindset that I'm not being paid, I'm not getting anything out of this except the information and knowledge that I can take and move forward with my career or my endeavors. And that's one thing. Some people go, like, oh, no, I don't really want to do that.
But that's where free internships were.
Yep.
Right? You literally worked for this corporation for free in exchange to learn the skill sets and so on and so forth. I tell the story all the time. When I got to Mexico City, it was nothing but God, but the anointed one found me a job as a human resource manager at this wealth management firm. And I was talking to Simon. I said, I don't know anything about, human resource management and wealth management firm and this and that. And, Simon he didn't even think. He just said, take it as an opportunity that they are paying you to learn new skill sets.
Yeah.
And that was like the journey for me to kind of pivot into tech, right? They didn't have anything to do with tech, but there were a significant amount of skill sets and training and things about business and finance that I was able to take and transfer over in my pursuit to figure out how to get a high income generating tech job.
And I'm sorry to cut you off.
Baby.
Also mention you had direct access to the CEO and the COO.
And I spent a lot of time, they were the senior partners.
Yes.
I spent a lot of time with them, right? So sometimes my days are 7:30 in the morning to 8, 9 o'clock at night. I have a family at home. But Simon understood the assignment, right? Because he was the one who kind of sparked the firecracker in my mind to take it and run with it. But that's time that I wasn't being paid, right? My hours were from this to this. I took those extra hours in order for the skill set. And what they offered me did absolutely give me the chance to find that high income. Now, granted, when I got to my tech job, they had to train me, right? But I had the skills in order to bring that learning curve down to almost nothing. Why am I telling y'all this story? I'm telling you this story because when we talk about the 401k match, you don't have to be the 50,000 income earner.
There we go. We gotta land this plane.
Right, I'm landing the plane. I'm landing the plane, right? I'm landing it. Right? You can use your 12-week year to get you towards commanding. I want y'all to put that in y'all subconscious, deposit it, write it down. Commanding a salary commensurate with your skill set. But then you also have to be honest. You got to be honest, right? Are you a cut corner kind of person? Are you the type of person where if you have to read something for longer than a minute read, you're either bored or your focus is completely gone already?
Mm-hmm.
Are you a scroller? Where instead of doing the research you need to do and really kind of buckle down and get your mindset together, you're lured in by Instagram, you're lured in by Facebook or whatever social media platform you prefer to scroll. You have to be honest about what your skill set actually is and what's commensurate with that.
Mm-hmm.
And not just the skill set, but really I want to say the mindset that's commensurate with that salary you want to command. Right? If you have a $25,000 mindset, you cannot command a salary of $150,000. You just can't.
Cannot. It is tough.
So you have to be honest with yourself. You have to put yourself in the gear and you have to start implementing what I call action plans toward your significant beneficial outcomes. I want that to be part of y'all everyday vernacular. Significant beneficial outcomes, my SBOs. If I do this, this, and this, what is my significant beneficial outcome of that? What do I want it to look like?
Mm-hmm.
Or create the significant beneficial outcome and then reverse engineer. If this is what I want, what does it take for me to get there? Where do I start? Who do I need to talk to? What do I need to look into? Why am I looking into it? You got to go back to elementary school with the who, what, when, where, and why.
Yes.
And a lot of times, how.
Mm-hmm. So yes, indeed. I mean, you that was excellent, ma'am. Excellent. That's excellent.
I ain't getting fired today. Not today.
Did you want to check the chat? I didn't know.
No, after Shango left, I think they're just listening to what we're saying. There's 40 people in the room. They are very attentive.
Oh, okay. I thought Jake Fever had something. It was such a change.
Oh yeah, I talked about that. The denomination $10 would be $1.
Oh boy, that's tough. Well, I got one other article. I mean, I got a whole
bunch of articles. The Gen Zers, no, we're not gonna kill them to death with articles. He tried to kill me to death with articles, y'all. I ain't gonna let him do it to y'all.
I got articles for days.
I ain't gonna let him do it to y'all. He be having me in there like it's a 2-hour college lecture, 3 o'clock in the morning.
Okay,
All right, let me see.
I'll slip
The
them in
Gen
there.
Zers?
Yeah,
All right.
that's probably the last article I got.
Meet the Gen Zers maxing out their retirement savings. It's no longer chasing money, they're now chasing time.
Ah, I like the way they put that.
So,
I
hearing the
like the way they
term
did that.
now, I'm just trying to get a bag, that is going to slowly kind of fade away
Yes,
into
I'm chasing time.
I'm chasing time.
And so, well, let's go into the article, but I like the way they put that because that's a big thing about Bitcoin where we talked about space and time. And them saying they're chasing time is very interesting. All right, so let's see what they got to say.
All right,
These are young
cousins.
people. I never know who's out there. These are the youngsters.
Meet Lillian Zhang. She's 23 years old, working as a product marketing manager at a tech company in the Bay Area. She wasn't even out of college before she started planning for retirement. She was 20 years old, very smart young lady, when she opened her first retirement account, which was a Roth IRA, after learning about them from personal finance YouTube channels. So we can see the value in YouTube channels, y'all. Go on and subscribe.
There you go.
She maxed it out for 2 years using money from her savings and summer internships. And when she got a job after college, she switched her focus to maxing out her 401k. Now, 24 years old, she has 6 figures stashed across 3 different retirement funds. She recently opened a simplified employee pension or SEP IRA for her side hustle as a content creator. And she's a part of a growing class of Gen Z retirement super savers. I bet you she live at home with her parents, though. But let me see.
Yeah.
Today's young professionals are like, Dad, you can take the hit
Yeah.
while he's out saving his money, right? Today's young professionals are prioritizing their golden years like never before. The average Gen Zer started saving for retirement at 22 compared with the millennials who started at 27, Gen Xers who started at 31, and baby boomers who started at 37, right? So that's the survey about 4,500 US adults from Northwestern Mutual. So, what's pushing young people to stash away money they can't touch for decades? Anxiety is one big driver. But before I even move on, I want to read that one more time. What is pushing young people to stash away money they can't touch for decades? That is the epitome of delayed gratification. So, we're moving out of this microwave society that they thought they were creating.
Yes. Okay, I see what you're doing there.
Right? And they have, in that push to kind of get you to spend, 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 consume, 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 they have birthed a generation that understands delayed gratification at a very young age. Right? She can't touch that for decades. Many are concerned about stagnating wages in the era of skyrocketing cost of living. Americans estimate they need to save 1.46 million to live comfortably in retirement, up to 53% from 2020. This is according to Northwestern Mutual. Gen Zers are witnessing millennials before them struggle to conquer typical financial milestones like paying off student debt and buying a home. There's this idea that the government isn't looking out for your retirement. You have to do it yourself. We all know that Social Security will not be available.
Yeah, not in this iteration.
Do not pass go, and you ain't going to get that $200.
No.
Others see their older family members struggling. More than half of current college undergrads are either financially supporting their parents or grandparents or expect to do so in the future. See, I would have thought it'd been the other way around. Students of color in particular are more likely to carry this financial burden than white students. Like many of her peers, she isn't confident Social Security will be there. It won't, because it's projected to run out at 2035. How far away are we from 2035?
Not that far. People
Right?
think it is, but it's not that far.
We're talking a decade
We're
or so.
talking about 11 years because you can rewind and remember 2013, can't you?
Right.
That was just 2013, so now that it's not that far away. Especially if your whole retirement is banked on Social Security.
It can't be.
I mean,
It cannot be. It's not. It shouldn't be. It cannot be. Right? There's the idea that the government. Oh, we just read that. If young people can't count on the government for retirement help, they have to turn their attention towards employers who will help foot the bill. Retirement benefits are among the top priorities when looking for a new job. It is huge in the tech industry because tech doesn't have a significant amount of compensation and benefits as we kind of know it. Unlimited PTO and that 401k match are typically the the
The
beacons
drive, they
to
draw
bring
you
you to
in,
them,
right?
unlimited PTO and 401k match. 65% of college seniors saying they wouldn't accept a job offer that didn't offer an employee-sponsored 401k match, according to Handshake. The employees played a large role in the supercharged environment. A Vanguard report showed workers 18 to 24 were 32% more likely to invest their workplace retirement plan than older colleagues at their age, thanks to automatic enrollment options.
That
I
helps.
don't have to keep giving you notice. None of these young ladies look like us. It's
Yeah,
no longer chasing money, it's chasing time.
that's good.
Anxiety aside, many Gen Zers see super saving for retirement as a way to take control over an uncertain future when the built-in support systems are lacking. I wonder how many of these students are also into maybe Bitcoin,
Hmm.
right? Like they don't talk about it in this article, but I would be curious.
Yeah, that's curious because Bitcoin is technology. It is
Mm-hmm.
tech. So,
And a lot of these people work for tech companies, so
mhm.
it would. Choop, 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 choop. Young professionals have more access to personal finance advice than ever. They're aware of the
Yeah.
opportunities. Much like the workplace and career path in general, Gen Zers are redefining what retirement looks like. People expect their career journey will look different from their parents. Everyone has a sense of what the end of their career will look like for them, and they're thinking about that from day one.
Mm, interesting.
It's a lot of redundant information.
Yeah.
But at the end, they basically say that it's no longer chasing money, it's chasing time.
Yeah.
Now, we cannot ever lose sight that I wish they would have had, if they're going to do three women, I wish they would have had a black woman who was also doing that.
Okay.
And I feel like, sometimes when people are saying stuff, it's the absence of this thing not being said
Yes.
that speaks the loudest in that conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So if we were to do a study on our people and
Mm-hmm.
their mindset for saving, I'm concerned that they are not as what's like in
Diligent.
not just diligent, but like how she said from day one,
Uh huh.
they're not that where they're starting from. They're doing it now. They're not saying, "Yeah, I'll take care of that in like 10 years."
Right.
I can't think of the word. Y'all know I have seizures, and sometimes the words elude me. But
Well,
I'm concerned about that.
well, I mean, they left out a lot of the people, both genders, different races. So I guess they couldn't cram them all into one um, article. But we just have to, as Black people, we always gotta like adjust how we're gonna do it. You see how they're doing it, we gotta adjust it to make it work for us all the time. And so if as far as Black women being
And not
maybe
just
not
black women, black men, but I was saying if you
being
had an Asian young lady, you
yeah,
had to what looks like to be a white Hispanic
yeah.
or a white Latino,
Mm-hmm.
and then there was no other
Yeah,
picture, right?
yeah, they
Usually
could put
you'll do
anybody there.
three examples. And the way our culture looks to me, based on social media,
Mm-hmm.
to me, I think social media is a great sampling, right? If we're scientists and we're observing the field,
Okay.
like our culture screams consumption.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, the new thing is travel. This is why Simon Family Investment Ventures says travel with intention,
Yeah. Uh,
right? Because the travel is really to kind of get you to consume. You're just consuming in a different geographical location, right? Consume the food, try this new, try this experience,
yes.
tip, because you got to tip. When you leave the United States, you got to tip everybody and their mama. Try this thing, go to the pool, pay for these drinks, and everything has a luxury tax when you're traveling. Consume, consume, consume. This is why we often say travel with intention. We want you to travel, but with intention.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll see that your funds go a different way.
Yeah, they
They're
do.
used differently, almost like an investment into some type of personal development for
Mm-hmm.
you. Um, okay, you better not make it one time event. Go ahead, put those babies to bed. Bye, cousin H. Tell Lady H I said good evening.
Thank you for being with
Thank
us,
you so
sir.
much for joining us. And you know, just the understanding that feel like we're getting further and further behind. Do you remember the reports that by 2050 we are
Oh
going to
boy.
be negative net worth
Yes. As a community.
as a community? So the fact that you went out of your way to put an Asian young lady there, and then you found you have 4,500 people to talk to now, right? It's a lot of people. You put the white Latino young lady there. Where are we at?
You know, they can see the writing on the wall if everything continues the
That's
same.
why I said that concerns
Yeah.
me.
So, you know, Asian across in America um, have wealth, right?
Yes, but they're also very financially inclined.
Mm-hmm.
So the culture, whether they're Chinese or Japanese or Korean, right, just Asian overall,
Mm-hmm.
education is
Paramount
the
for them.
core
Mm-hmm.
of their lifestyle.
Yep.
So they're educated in essentially everything that regards their life, including when we say life portfolio, you know, honor and
Mm-hmm.
obligation and stuff like that. Like their
Yeah.
life portfolio from collective consciously is well intact when they're born.
Right. And as you said it was a white Latina.
Mm-hmm, a white Latino.
So you know by 43,
They're gonna out
so you got to speak to them.
populate.
You got to speak to them because they're going to be people who matter.
And I would have liked to see that 4,500 survey broken down into demographics.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like I said, the thing that wasn't showed, that wasn't demonstrated to me, spoke the loudest.
Right.
What do our 23-year-old,
College graduates.
what do they aspire to do? And is saving money, we understand you want the bag, but is saving money on the forefront of your mind like it is for the other two demographics?
Probably not.
We're in this space, and I say all the time, I need to see more women in the space. And the fact that we don't see a lot of women in the space, shout out to Courtney, who's here. Your cousin is still drinking that gasoline laden
Gasolina.
tequila that they are trying to refine for us.
Yeah, have to refine it.
I think he built up a tolerance now.
Yeah, they'll put hair on your chest if that's what you're looking for.
That's why I can't drink it, right?
Yeah, so it gets you ready. It gets you.
Well, that's cousin Courtney. Oh, J-Man, hey, I've been looking for you. Check your emails. It's so good to see you. Thank you for joining. And I got the hookup for you, J-Man, when you're ready.
Yeah, J-Man.
Let Freedom Ring said, many tech graduates don't understand Bitcoin. Most of us are not going to catch up. And that's sad.
That's sad.
But if we're not going to catch up, that means that there is a huge kink in our armor. Right? Because again, if the Asian young lady has it on her mind from day one, and the white Latina has it on her mind from day one, what is it that, and we have to look at this like scientists, right? Observing the field. What is it that they have it on their mind from day one and we don't? A lot of it is family structure, it's family conversation. Those children probably grew up with their parents talking to them about being financially sound.
Definitely.
I told the story the other day because Sean and Junior and all of them ear hustle our shows. We incorporate these things in homeschool. Sean kind of thought about like, hey, last year when grandma came, you know, West Indian women, they like to, let me give you a small piece. She gave him a couple $100. He said, Dad, it's just sitting on my dresser, just the dollars just eating away, right? And he's like, I want to buy, did he want to buy silver or Bitcoin?
He wanted to buy silver.
He wanted to buy some silver. And, you know, his dad laughed and was like, so you giving me the dollars, I'm going to buy the silver for you, but then the dollars is going to eat away in my pocket. Without blinking, Sean goes, you can take the hit, Dad. So
why not?
He's financially sound enough to know I gotta get rid of, I think it's $200 or $300. I gotta get rid of this and get something for value in exchange. He's 23. It's on his mind.
Yeah, and I'm just gonna jump in here. He works as a professor of business communications,
business
communication, English, and then just English 101 when he's on the campus, right?
Yes.
Okay, so, but they did not set up a 401k plan for him or anything like that.
They have that here.
Right. So what we're doing is we're showing him how you can set up your own savings and being ready for retirement, right? Now you can always go set up your own 401k through
Fidelity,
or something like
which
that.
we'll definitely get him involved
Yeah.
in.
So me, I'm more about versatility. I don't like to be locked in until I'm 59 and a half and have to take huge penalties if I need or want the money, right? Earlier, or I'm forced to borrow against my own account.
With
So
interest.
with interest. So I like to be a little bit more fluid on the outside, having precious metals. And you could just build that stack up, for the next 8 years. And if you say, hey, I want to take half of it out, nothing happens, right?
Right.
You get your stack,
Mm-hmm.
and it's sketchy about when you sell a lot of silver. Do you have to pay taxes? Do you not? It gets to be one of those things. But yeah, I like to have more liquidity in my own personal account, where even if that was his Bitcoin account, right, and he wants to take some out and turn it into fiat currency for something he may want to do, he's a young man, he may want to buy an engagement ring or something like that, or he may, something as time goes on he wants to do. I don't like stuff being locked up like that if I don't have to, but if it is locked up because you're working that type of job, let that be locked up, and then you can have your
Because you're
liquidity on
working
the
a
outside.
job anyway.
Yeah, let that be locked up. But 59 and a half, I mean, that's a long time, especially for a young man like that. And
But at the same time, it's on the forefront of his mind, and this was the original sentiment, because his family does have those conversations with them at a young age. It is part of our tribal. When I say tribal, I just mean the Simon family, right? It's part of our tribal culture to be financially. But the household next door, if those conversations are not being had, how could it be on the forefront of that person's mind?
Yeah, that's a good question.
And I feel like in our community, these conversations are not had.
Enough or at all.
Right? And then the culture is pushed and pressed upon you that you got to floss, or whatever the new word is today. It's flossing for us. I don't know what it is. Flex. I think it's flexing. You got to flex, and you got to have this, and you got to have that. And are your J's real? And
Are
just
they real?
Spending, do you have a $3,000 installation? Are you getting a bag? Are you a baddie? All of this culture is being shoved onto our 20-year-olds of spend. When they watch these videos on YouTube and they have the name of the video thing, I can't think of it. That's how I feel so old sometimes. Vimeo or whatever it is, right? When the video features, they got the brick of cash and they're acting like it's a cell phone and there's cash everywhere and they're still making it rain in the strip club. And you're like, you're making it rain in the strip club because that dollar is turning into toilet paper, right? It's like helicopter money now. But the way it is perceived to the culture is that I have to have a whole bunch of money in order to show the next person that I have some type of worth that hasn't been built up properly. Right? I gotta have a Lamborghini. I gotta have this. T-Pain. Do you know T-Pain? You ever hear T-Pain's story?
No, tell me his story.
At the height of his fame, T-Pain had like $220 million. And because he had some type of affection for extremely expensive cars that were depreciating in value, he went broke.
Yeah.
And he can't even offload the cars. Right? We talk about Nelly. I'm not going to use Michael Jordan as an example, right? Let me use Nelly as an example. Nelly had a house and he couldn't sell it because of the customization of the house.
Yeah, that happens a lot.
I think Lil Wayne did the same thing. So you spent all of this money on this asset that isn't an asset because it's not making you any money. And now when it's time for the so-called asset, which is really a liability, to make you money, you can't even sell it.
Can't even sell it. These cats was doing that same thing, customizing their watches.
The jewelry.
And making it worthless. There's a thing that if you do any alterations to like your Rolex, because you got a lifetime warranty on
it's gone.
It's gone. Just for you because you wanted to put a couple diamonds around the bezel or something silly. Now you lost your lifetime guarantee warranty with Rolex.
But even like the chains and the videos and stuff like that, The minute you walk over the threshold, I'm just gonna say Jacob. The minute you walk over the threshold of Jacob's store, that chain has significantly declined in value.
Yeah, because when you go to sell it back, right, they're gonna do it for melt, right?
They're gonna melt.
And so
We can't
whatever,
sell it to
whatever,
anybody else like that.
yeah. So whatever they're gonna melt it down, and then they be like, all right, this is whatever 6 ounces you get what 6 ounces of gold costs, even though you probably paid maybe 5 to 10 times that.
Let's talk about AI. Hubby had told me one day that AI was so reckless in his spending that he wouldn't pack for trips. He would buy clothes when he got there and then
Yeah,
leave the clothes there.
yeah, he was good for that. And he probably felt like he could when he was just getting paychecks to look like this every
But
week.
why?
But why though? Yeah,
Do you
but
not
why?
feel like packing? Is there somebody there who's you dated the brat forever? She would have packed a suitcase for you. I mean, I don't understand. I know he was married too, right? Not sure a wife is going to do it if you're running around with all these different women. But it's just like our mindset and the I want to say like the symbolism
Yeah,
and what they're expressing in the consume
and on
culture.
and on Iverson, somebody was smart enough to hop in there and get a trust at Reebok for him that he can't get to. I think he's 53 or
It's
58.
coming up.
It's coming up, but they were smart enough to know that put something aside to he can get when he's an older man and he won't just blow it. So he has that coming. Whoever did that, God bless that person because I love Allen Iverson and I want to see nothing but the best for him.
And I'm just using these as
Yeah,
examples,
but
right? When NFL
mhm.
players, they had a 30 for 30 that talked about multiple NFL players going broke. And the
Oh,
idea is, right, I'm going to land this plane. The idea is that our collective culture seems to be consumed instead of invest. And we need to find a way, J-Man was saying,
okay.
moving forward, that the business creation, the learning, the like-minded unity is the way to move forward,
Yes, it is.
right? But
Mhm.
this is a small niche, and we're talking to the church right now.
Yeah,
We're
it's
not
small.
talking to the people who need to know it. You guys are on here. It's 46 people. I think it was 52 people at the height
Yes.
of the show. You guys are here because that is what you do.
Yeah. I agree with Let Freedom Ring. Bitcoin is the best investment and long term. It's
Especially for young people, the
especially for young
value.
people. If young people can get into it right now, man, they're good to go.
But I think like
Consistently.
that's a whole step forward. We have to get to the mindset of I want to invest.
Mhm.
Like let's get there first.
Mhm.
And like I said, I feel like our culture, the overarching spirit
Okay.
is consumed.
Yes.
Right? When we talk about that stupid narrative, you can't take a woman to the freaking Cheesecake Factory, you got to take her to Prime 112, you got to take her to all these expensive
Man.
restaurants. And the answer is, why does he have to take you to that restaurant?
Yeah, and it could be.
I want to start like breaking down, I want a high value man to do what?
And this sounds stupid, and I know it sounds dumb, but it's as simple as starting a little kid off with a damn piggy bank. Okay, they just get the little extra change they put in the bank where they ain't get to it, right? So they're just putting it away, watching it build up, watching it build up, build up, build up, build up, until it builds all the way up, and then they have access to it. Old school, you could break the piggy bank. It was porcelain or something like that. They got these plastic ones that you could build up. I had when I first, I think it was our oldest child, Sean. They gave us it was a big piggy bank in the shape of a bottle, but it was tall. So changing there all the time, and he would be looking at it like, "Can we spend it?" I said, "No, no, no. We was gonna let it build up." And that mug built all the way up to the top. To the top. It was mostly pennies, nickels, and dimes and stuff. Didn't really put too many quarters in there. And that mug ended up being $500, and I was surprised. Like, what? That's $500? Just pennies and nickels and dimes? But yeah, that's just the saving, and just have that saving mindset, and it's automated now. That's why I'm like, wow. Just say, hey, I just want you to take $10 a week out my paycheck and put it towards. You could do it towards Bitcoin. You could do it towards precious metals. You could do it towards anything, and it'll just be $10, and you really don't notice it. It's like, oh, that was $10. I'm gonna notice it, over the month, and then over the year, and then over the years. You will at least have had something for yourself, even if you don't actively invest. You can just automate it and make sure that something is being put in the way for you, and your family. You have to do it different ways. If you're single, if married, but with no kids, if you have a whole family and stuff like that, you have different investing strategies and techniques. So that's something you always got to keep in mind as far as building your wealth out. If you were say you were a young man and you said, I am going to get married and I want to have children, but until that time, you could be saving, saving, saving for your future family. If that is your intent, is to be married and have children, and then eventually maybe 8 years down the line, you do get married, you do have children, you already you way ahead of the game because you've been saving that big gap 8 years without nobody being there. You've just been saving, saying, I know that they're coming, so let me prepare before they get here. And and that's like us passing down information and knowledge to our children in that regard. And if you don't have children, you could pass it down through just through the community and say, hey, this is something that you could do, something you could be looking to do. Get started now. A lot of people always say, oh, it's too late to get into Bitcoin. It's too late. It's too late. It's like, well, it's not too late. It's not too late. If you look at some of the projections from some of the top people and top players in Bitcoin, you look at a Michael Saylor, you look at a Kathy Wood, and these type of people, they're talking about 2030, almost maybe a million point five dollar Bitcoin. You look at Plan B, if you guys are familiar with Plan B, and you look at his stock to flow ratio chart, you can see it going that way. And when you look at it and overlay it right now, it's right on. It's right on. His stock to flow is right on it. The price may vary, it may deviate a little bit, but it's right on track as he predicted. And he's got that thing going up to a million. So be prepared. It's not you early right now. Really, to be honest with you, people are like, oh, I wish I'd have got in at this price or this price, and don't even worry about that. Don't let that affect your mindset about Bitcoin. You early right now, and it's not only about making money though. It's a mindset. It's supposed to be about freedom. Be your own bank. It's about more things than just making a fiat dollar. So we have to keep that in mind as well. Let's see. Hold on. Let me check these out. Uh-oh. Let me see. I'm sorry, y'all. The community and business attorneys, like mine. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. J-Man, totally agree.
Whew.
Keep talking to this church. Don't stop. Your wisdom is needed. I agree with Gordon. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. And and this is what we do, man. I call it chopping wood, man. We just chopping wood. Y'all ever went out there and split some wood? Anybody who ever asked, it's hard work. That you just do it little bit by little. Boom. Boom. Especially if you're doing it for a purpose. If you're doing it for a purpose, you need the wood for maybe the winter months. So, boom, you just split a little bit of wood one by one. And by the time you're done, over a few months, you got a whole bunch of wood. It's just chopping wood. It's chopping wood. It's hard work every day, but we make sure we go out and do that hard work every day.
But we have to change the narratives in our community, right? And narrative number one is the reason why they push the consume, consume, consume is because it's very strategic, diabolical methodology, kind of group of people who make money when we consume, consume, consume. Record labels, so on and so forth. They're all in cahoots with everybody, certain lifestyles, et cetera, et cetera. When we have the narrative, the rhetoric of investing, we are now moving the wealth transfer back from them to us. And that's why it's not part of our collective culture. Do y'all know that TikTok in China, and I'm speaking about the country China in general, doesn't allow all that foolish dancing and all of the shit that we scroll on there? It's only used for educational purposes. Now, I'm not sure what type of Asian the young lady's in, but Japan is huge on education, right? Korea, same thing. They have to be because of the structure of their country, at least South Korea, right?
Oh, boy.
And I say all of that because these countries are interested in the building up of their citizens. It doesn't look like the U.S. is. It looks like the U.S. is hell bent on destroying every single person that they can And I'm confused as to why,
Mhm.
right? Why is it that in a free world in the United States that's supposed to have great education, finance isn't even uttered unless you go to post secondary education? And you have to choose to take that class,
Sure do. If it's not your major, you sure do.
right? So, the understanding is why wouldn't I learn budgeting in middle school?
Right.
By the time I get to seventh grade, I should be able to sit down and have a course called household budgeting.
Hmm.
Seventh grade, you should be 13 years old, I think. Right? We used to have home economics. They didn't did away with that. And that's why everybody, I ain't cooking for nobody and be nobody's slave. There's so many people now, I ain't gonna get on y'all. Don't know how to cook and keep house and do all of the stuff that you should do.
Yeah.
But
Keep a
these
damn cookbook.
questions, they prevail and they persist
Mhm.
because we're noticing that the things that we direly need are missing.
And so on top of that, let's jump on top of that. So now you can't even get household budgeting, but you should also be getting a class on blockchain technology.
Why not?
You should you
2024.
should be getting a class on Bitcoin, on cryptocurrencies in general. These should be classes in the curriculum of the
Well, if
schools.
we're not talking about fiat, trash cash, we're not going to talk about Bitcoin. So that's out.
So then they're not getting taught early. We have to be if we homeschool, but if you don't homeschool, you have to be there at secondary to fill in the gaps of what they learn at
Supplemental
school. Supplemental
education,
education.
right?
Thank you,
And
ma'am.
supplemental education doesn't have to be putting together a curriculum or anything that's scary for you, right? It can simply be on Saturday. That's probably the best day of the week to do it for
Okay,
about 2 hours, 3 hours tops, because you can't really do much past that.
make it 6.
Typically, earlier in the day, you have some type of supplemental education before they have all of their stuff to do. Now, that's difficult for parents who have children in sports because Saturday is
Yeah.
typically the day for the tournaments and so on and so forth. So you would have to work that schedule out however you can. It is May 31st. The majority of the people who are graduating graduated, or, it's summertime. It's going to be, I don't know how many days of summer. Phineas and Ferb told me it's 101 days. I find that hard to believe. But you have a significant amount of time, at least
Hmm.
12 weeks, maybe a little bit less,
Hmm.
where the children are going to be idle. And
Pretty
y'all
much
know
less
idle
than.
hands makes the devil a busy, busy man.
Yeah, typically, and that's a great time to get at them. And really just sit down and talk to them. If you can't sit down and talk to them about a certain subject, uh, it's a lot of materials right out there to help you. Hell, there's a lot of
It's
people on
so many
YouTube to help you.
resources, animation, stuff like that. But you got to sit, if you're involved in it, children want to spend time with their parents, right? Our room in this house, as big as this house that their daddy provided for them, those children be in our bedroom suite like it's a damn clubhouse, right? Sprawled all over the bed, sitting in chairs,
Toys
in there
everywhere.
all the time. Well, Tino's gonna be in there all the, but even the older kids spend a significant amount of time in our bedroom. Children want to be with their parents, no matter how old they are. They want to spend time with their parents. Supplemental education can be a way, one, where you can form a very significant bond. So that's not just for boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife. It's great for the parent children too relationship. You form a significant bond. You can teach them what they need to know. You often learn a lot because out of the mouths of babes, right? When the Bible tell you that, boy, these children are so wise and insightful. There's a lot you can learn. You can get a grasp on what they know and what they don't know. And that way you can help supplement their deficits,
Hmm.
right? Which is what Simon does. Simon is always looking for a teaching opportunity when he's listening to them talk and chat and just have
And
casual
and I mean, I
conversation.
hate to say this, not to be a Debbie Downer or anything, but just to be telling the truth of how things are. I'm speaking as a black man. Unfortunately, you're gonna get a lot of life lessons past your parents, right? Like I can't prepare you for everything that may happen in life, but I'm gonna tell you this for sure: you're gonna have some ish that happen in your life that's gonna wear you down and beat you down from time to time. And so, I'll always be here. if you need some advice or you just want to talk and vent. But unfortunately, you're gonna have to go through your own bumps and bruises as you choose your path in life.
But the idea as their parental units is that we establish their mindset for growth. Mm-hmm. We establish their mindsets for critical thinking. Mm-hmm. We establish their mindsets with as many experiences as we possibly can. So when that shit do hit the fan in their lifetime, they have a better way of responding to it versus reacting to it like their counterpart whose parents didn't give them that type of preparation. Mm-hmm. I don't think any child should leave their parents' house to establish their own home and have to learn household budgeting on the fly. Right? You have no idea how to manage the money that you make. You have no idea how to manage the household. There are some people now in their 40s because they've lived with their parents for so long. When their parents pass away and stuff and pass their homes or houses or whatever onto them where they don't have that safety net anymore, they don't know how to do that basic adulting skill. They have no idea how to do it. Somebody else always did it for them. Yeah. And there's a significant amount of us in that kind of age range who are running into that problem. Whenever something stupid happened, they run back to mama's house. Yeah. Well, mama passed away. Now what are you going to do? Do you know how to manage your house? No, because she did everything. Mm-hmm. And now you have to learn it on the fly and have to learn that adulting skill on the fly at 45, 46, 50 years old. You end up losing the house and now you're homeless. And that's like worst case scenario. I know like it's worst case scenario, but when we talk about people our age in the relationship scene, a lot of women like, well, I don't want to have to take care of somebody and he's a child and, he's got this thing about her. And a lot of it is we're not having the right conversations to prepare children for adulthood, adult relationships, budgeting, finance, for the future. I hear too many Black people say, I'm just trying to make it through today. Yeah. I had too many of y'all say that. Yeah. I need you to think about next week. I need you to think about next month. I need you to think about next quarter. I need you to think about the quarters after that. I need you to think about next year. Do you have a 3-year plan, 5-year plan, 7-year plan, 10-year plan? Right? And while the plans don't need to be concrete, you have to have some type of infrastructure built or paradigm built within the work. Mm-hmm. Mugs are just whatever the day brings is how I deal with it. And that's why it's that like hamster wheel. Yeah. And they get further and further behind. About being further and further behind. But there's no action or thought to kind of get off the hamster wheel and kind of actually get moving. Mm-hmm. And again, these are the conversations we have to have with the young people. We read that article. Those children, to me, even though they're grown adults, 23 years old, it's on the forefront of their mind. What the hell is on the forefront of our children's mind? Right. And when am I going to read that article?
You gotta go search for that one. Search long and hard for that one.
T. Will Line said most of these kids don't start school right. ABC and basic skills in kindergarten. So ain't gonna be no Bitcoin or Saturday schooling going on, right? And it's the culture of the household, right? I talk about like our tribal culture. We as Black people need to establish tribal cultures within the household. You do. Like establish a real culture, not this our dysfunctional house and this is how things are and that's the culture. No, not that.
Yeah, and you gotta take it all the way back. Like who they say is the teacher, first teacher of children?
The nation builder. Yeah, so, ladies, stand up.
There's gotta be some foundation being laid right there.
Reggie's been cooking since he was 9 years old. We don't play that. Sean's been cooking since he was about 11 or 12. He was our first child, so we didn't know what we was doing.
Yeah, we got him in a little bit later.
Right? And on days when we don't feel like cooking, them two get down in that kitchen and they throw down.
Yeah, today was one of the days.
Right? So, no, because Sean had to work. I ran. I really see me jump up like something was on fire. I was going to burn the wings.
Reginald.
I forgot. Yes, Reginald did cook. He made hamburgers with the tomato slices and the wedge of lettuce. He cut the,
He
everything.
does
He
petty.
toasted the buns. Like he did it like he worked at a restaurant. He put the fries on there. He understands plating, which if you're not into cooking, you'll
He
understand.
probably got that from YouTube, I guess.
No, I
But,
taught him
oh, you
plating.
taught him plating?
You don't see when I dish out your food, I try to make it as pretty as possible.
Oh, okay. I thought you learned that from Gordon Ramsay.
I do learn from those, especially
That's what I
Uncle
learned.
Uncle Roger. That's my dude. But the idea is that there's not enough tribal culture established in the household for us. Even if social media or whatever is pushing a narrative, when you have tribal culture established in the household, you can smash some of that down.
Yes, you can.
You can smash a lot of that down. Even the way our children talk or speak, we don't allow some of those idioisms to come into this household.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You're not fitting to do nothing. You are going to get this done.
Yes.
And once you've mastered English, then you can do all of those little colloquialisms.
Mm-hmm.
Sean teaches business communication in English, and mostly because he doesn't get involved in a lot of those
Right.
idioisms and colloquialisms. And that's why, Roberta was like, hey, I need you.
And he's young.
And you know how hard it is
Yeah.
for somebody in Mexico to be like, I'm going to hire you, I'm going to pay you cash under the table? That is extremely difficult. I'm going to get all of the paperwork done. Of course, the mayor is our friend, and all of these people are our friends. So they all work together to get Sean established in the university as a professor. He's 23 years old. Some of the kids he teaches older than him. A lot of the kids he teaches are older than him.
All those business communications people are always older than him.
Yeah, because they have like established jobs and stuff in tech. Yeah. So just understanding that the foundation that we were able to lay early gave him a great push later on in life. Mm-hmm. It matters. That supplemental education matters.
It does. It does. Well, I'm sorry we kept you here too long.
Too long. Yeah, we about to go. It's 2 hours.
Yeah, our bad. It's
50 people in the room.
It's Friday night. I know everybody about to go out, hit the club, turn up.
I had a rough week, y'all, with these seizures. I couldn't hardly talk today. I'm so glad that I didn't sound ridiculous this evening.
Yeah, it's all good, man. From here, I think I'm gonna go upstairs and hit the recliner and relax a little bit.
But making you those wings you asked for.
Okay.
They'll be spicy and sweet.
Okay, and then I'll hit the recliner after that, I suppose, and have heartburn. But
my wings ain't gonna give you no heartburn. Don't listen to him, y'all. My wings are delicious.
So I'll be up all night then.
No, you
so
won't. I have omeprazole.
You guys keep me in mind when you're going to sleep. I'm going to be up all night.
Mama Simon got some omeprazole for him. Don't listen to him. I take very good care of him, even though he be trying to fire me every day.
Other than that, though, we had a good time. Monday at the same time.
Monday at 7-ish, right? We try to be on time, but y'all know we got a house full of people.
Yeah, they was tripping today, man.
But T Willline, Cousin T, I'm so glad you are able to join us. I know you got to do the rewatch, Let Freedom Ring. I always have to shout you out because you've been with us from single-digit shows. So thank you so much for being such a long-time supporter. Thank you all, cousins, for supporting us. Even what Cousin H was saying, sometimes it's hard for us to see if we're making a difference.
Yeah, because like you said, it's no two-way conversation. It's just
I mean, we're hoping we spend a significant amount of time.
So he had a silver eagle that made me.
He had multiple. He said that they got lots of friends.
Oh no, but he just held one up. I seen.
No, and then he put like 5 or 6 of them and said, "Look, he's got lots of friends.
Oh, well,
the ASC's got lots of friends."
I give him my glasses, man.
So you too vain to wear them. That's why you be struggling to see stuff. And I'm your glasses. the best looking glasses you could ever buy. But we love y'all so much. We'll see y'all on Monday. Mamba out. Y'all check out Mamba Mentality. It's a good book. It's free on Kindle Unlimited. Get that Mamba Mentality. And we'll